For years, Artemis sounded like a promise. Now it feels real. Artemis II has flown around the moon and returned safely to Earth. That makes it the first crewed lunar flyby since Apollo. So now, the big question is no longer whether humans are going beyond low Earth orbit again. The real question is, what happens next? And can the missions that follow turn one successful flight into a permanent return to deep space? Artemis II carried 4 astronauts aboard Orion: Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Koch, and Canadian astronaut Jeremy Hansen. The mission tested NASA's deep space systems with a crew on board. That included Orion and its European-built service module on a free return path around the moon. According to ESA, that service module supplied power, water, air support, thermal control, and propulsion during the mission. This was not a moon landing. It was a systems test with people inside. And that matters, because deep space missions are not won by a single launch. They succeed when life support, navigation, propulsion, re-entry, and crew operations all work together under real conditions. NASA describes Artemis II as the step meant to validate those capabilities before the more complex missions that come next. And this is where the story starts to shift. A lot of people still think Artemis III is simply the next moon landing, but NASA's current description is more complicated than that. Artemis III is now framed as a demonstration in low Earth orbit. Its goal is to test rendezvous and docking with one or possibly both commercial landers being developed by SpaceX and Blue Origin. That means the path forward is evolving. The bottleneck is no longer just getting Orion around the moon, it is integrating the commercial landing systems needed to complete the full return to the surface architecture. After that, one of the most important missions is Gateway. Gateway is a small space station planned for lunar orbit. Its purpose is to support longer-term Artemis operations. NASA says its first elements, including the power and propulsion element and halo, are scheduled to launch no earlier than 2027, ahead of Artemis IV. NASA and ESA describe Gateway as humanity's first space station around the moon and a bridge between lunar exploration and future Mars missions. But there is another part of this story that many people miss. Artemis II matters because it fits into a much larger system. NASA's Commercial Lunar Payload Services program keeps sending science and technology to the moon through commercial landers. NASA's 2026 launch schedule includes missions such as Firefly's Blue Ghost Mission 2, Blue Origin's Blue Moon Mark 1, and Intuitive Machines IM-3. These missions are easy to overlook, but they matter because robotic payloads help test landing sites, science tools, and surface operations before or alongside major crewed missions. And the next era of spaceflight is not only about the moon. NASA's Nancy Grace Roman Space Telescope is now fully assembled. NASA says it is planned for launch by May 2027, and it could be ready as early as fall 2026. Roman is designed to study dark energy, dark matter, exoplanets, and the wider universe. That makes it one of the biggest non-lunar space missions on the horizon. So while Artemis gets the headlines, the bigger picture is much broader. This is not one project, it is a stack of parallel efforts: moon operations, lunar infrastructure, commercial landers, and powerful new observatories. That is what most people miss. The real story is not just that Artemis II went around the moon. The real story is that Artemis is becoming a network, not a single mission. Orion and SLS handle deep space crew transport. Commercial companies are building landers. Gateway is meant to become the staging point in lunar orbit. Robotic landers build experience on the surface, and missions like Roman keep expanding science far beyond the moon. So what happens next? The next chapter depends less on one dramatic launch, and more on whether NASA and its partners can keep all of these pieces moving at the same time. Artemis II proved that a crew can go around the moon and come home safely. Now comes the harder part: turning that success into repeatable missions, working lunar infrastructure, and eventually a lasting human presence beyond Earth orbit. So Artemis II was not the finale, it was the starting gun, and the next few missions may decide whether this becomes another brief return to the moon or the beginning of a true deep space era.